So, today is June 26th, day 2 at Valley Transportation. Going to Dubuque, Iowa to pick up a backhoe and 2 skid steer loaders. One's a track loader and one is a wheel loader, I believe. Right now I'm waiting on my partner to go by. My kamikaze friend. So far so good. Everything seems to be pretty cool. It's totally different from driving around in a van for the last 8 years with Swift Transportation. And I got nothing bad to say about Swift, so you know, Valley Transportation seems to be a decent company. Everybody's you know, personable. Everybody's concerned about, you know, making sure you're doing everything right, teaching you stuff, and be about the time he drives by with all his traffic going by. So my plan is, I've never done this flatbed stuff. Again, this is day 2 of actual on the road. I've been up here doing orientation and some training and some stuff for the last 4 or 5 days or so. There he goes right there. Nolan. Sorry, we're just getting going here. We're actually in Waterloo, Iowa. And I'm still learning how to drive. I was off for about 4 months, give or take. And I went from a 10-speed Eaton Fuller transmission to, this is an 18-speed. But it's a heavy-duty transmission, which makes everything feel a little different. So, might be a little bit before I get super confident. And I went from a Kenworth T680, which was a 2016, I believe, driving a 2017 Peterbilt 389. I always miss that year. And yes, it's a little different. So, a little bit about Valley Transportation. $12,000 sign-on bonus. $12,000 sign-on bonus. It's like an echo in here. $12,000 sign-on bonus. You get the first 1,000, your first check. I get my first check in another week, I think. Paid every other week. What makes a vehicle ride next to another vehicle on a freeway? I don't know. equipment, 2016 or newer vehicles, all Peterbilt 389, long nose trucks, 18 speeds, heavy duty this, heavy duty that. They seem to take care of everything. You know, what I was told is they want you to treat the truck like it's your truck. They're just paying for it. So, raining. The recruiters, Corinne and Daryl, they didn't tell me no lies. So everything that they said is, you know, worked out to be true. You know, orientation is 2 to 3 days, depending on how many truck driver stories we got to listen to. You know, truck drivers are how they can get to running their mouths. So if everybody's, you know, quiet and does what they're supposed to do. My orientation for Swift, there was 47. We started out with 47 people. When I got to Valley Transportation, there was me and another gentleman. He had 30 years experience with oversized, overdimensional. Swifty! Doors are open. And so he went out right after orientation, and I went down to Waterloo, where we have a yard, and they put me with this guy that's got a little bit of experience tying down stuff as a shag driver. I have no experience, so I had the 8 years of driving, you know, a little bit over 1 million miles. So they said, we will train you. I said, okay, and here I am, driving a 48-foot step deck, and I'll be pulling permitted loads, over height, over width. I don't think we do too much over length in the division that I'm in. We have 160 drivers rolling right now. We have a few trucks that are just sitting around waiting for you. I won't do that again. And all you gotta do is go down there, walk in the front door, or give them a call. Give them my truck number, 1735. You know, help me out. 1735. My name is Paul. They know who I am. This truck fogs up quick. You can go to their website, valleytransportation.com. It's in Grand Meadow, Minnesota. I spoke to Brad briefly. He's busy. I spoke to the owner, not like the guy running the show. I spoke to the owner, shook his hand, looked him in the eye. So it's not, you know, you're not going to hear about what the owner's doing on Wall Street or whatever. You're going to see him occasionally. You know, again, he's busy, so people at the shop walk in, they want you to call ahead of time just so they can get stuff ready. But you know, if it's something they can get done fairly quick, they try to get you in and you know, get it taken care of. All right, I can see again. Trying to learn a new truck. There is a lot to learn. Permitted loads are a whole new, it's a whole new ball of wax, thingamajig. It is definitely interesting. So far we've loaded a small bulldozer, 26,000 pound bulldozer, a couple of backhoes, some skid steer loaders, track and wheel. We do a lot of work for John Deere, picking up at the main plant or the drop yard and taking it to the dealerships across the country. So far what I've learned is the backhauls are air conditioners and mostly larger equipment, so I have no tarps on this truck. Only straps and binders, chains, you know, bungee cords, you know, the flights, you know, flatbed stuff, oversized stuff. I put my first oversized banner on a truck yesterday. We were 10.5 or 10.6 wide, I don't remember. So that was my first oversized load. My dispatcher, seems like about every 2 or 3 days, calls just to check on me, make sure, you know, I need anything, I got any questions, or, you know, if he can do anything. I'm about to pass out, I'm hot here. And, I don't know, it seems to be like you know, a pretty good company. You can, when you go through orientation, you can either choose the salary, which is a fixed amount every week, obviously. They base it off of 2,200 miles, 2,250 miles a week. You get, or you can go for the mileage pay, and that's going to be different for each person. You know, I've talked to the recruiters about that part. I've heard that it's a little bit on the lower side, but I don't have any experience, and yeah, I don't want to get into all that. So, talk to the recruiters. You know, if the pay matches something that you can get into or whatever, or your requirements. I went for the salary because at the end of the year, at 108,000 miles, anything over that, you still get your salary, but then they bump it up to the mileage pay, so you get the 45 to 55, whatever the number is, per mile that you drove over the 108,000, and you get a 4-cent per mile safety bonus. So you look on the website, you can see these checks. They go from $4,000 or $5,000 all the way on up to, I think they just handed out a $27,000 check not too long ago. And I've talked to a few drivers at you know, the truck stop, because we have a couple of truck stops that there's a lot of people that, a lot of our drivers that go through there, and everybody's pretty much saying the same thing. You're going to drive 2,500 to 3,000 miles if you want to. I mean, you do the math. You know, I'm not saying anything bad about Swift, you know, at all. 8 years. You know, my driver manager, I've laid out on the railroad tracks for her. You know, they helped me through, you know, the first couple of years, and you know, I made it 8 years with them, paid off a truck, leased another truck, just decided I wanted to do something different. So, you know, it is what it is. But Valley Transportation seems to be 1735 is my truck number. So when you call up there, just mention that you saw a driver from Valley Transportation, 1735. I get a little kickback. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not a negative. I don't talk negatively about anything. I'm sure I'm just waiting for it, but you get out there doing stuff, I'm sure that we're going to run across things that are small hurdles, little things that could be done differently. But it seems to me like if there's a problem, and it's something that can be worked on or changed, I'm sure that I could go in there and say, hey, listen, why don't we do this? And I'm sure that at minimum they would listen. I'm going to be doing a kind of like a promotional video for Valley Transportation, just to help get all the information out there. These guys don't do anything on YouTube that I can see. Like, I can't find any drivers. I can't find any promotional stuff. They are on Facebook. Look it up, Valley Transportation, Grand Meadow, Minnesota. And I'm not necessarily doing a promotional video for these guys. I'm trying to document my little journey through this. Like, 8 years with Swift, and that's all the experience I got. I read a thing on a job site, and it said willing to train the right person. I made a phone call. I filled out an application and made a phone call. And 42 minutes after they got the actual application, I was hired. 42 minutes. A week later, well, 5 days later, I drove up here just because I want my own vehicle around. You don't never know these days. I've heard horror stories about people going to orientation and they get through the second day and then they find out that there's something on their record. These guys went through all that before I left Virginia. So they did all their checking, all their things that they had to do before I left my house in Virginia and drove up here. So you're pretty much not going to waste your time or, money, or they're not going to put you on a bus. Like, you don't make it through orientation, you're not getting handed a bus ticket. I can't imagine that. It's a crazy world out there. So, whatever you got going on, be honest, let them know. Tell them everything before you leave, and then, that way they'll tell you ahead of time. So right now we're on US 20 heading east from Waterloo to Dubuque. About 85, 90 miles. We got 64 miles left. I don't want to say pouring rain, but it's raining. Washing off the truck. So today will be the first day that I'll be throwing chains in the rain. we're going to get down there and we're going to be in a little break. There's going to be about a 15-minute window where there's not going to be any rain, or it's going to be sprinkled, and then we're going to be in a monsoon. The trucks are governed at 70, which permitted loads some states you can only drive 55, which is why I did the salary, by the way, so I don't have to worry about nothing driving. Oh, I only drove 1,900 miles this week. I get a salary, and it's a little bit less than I would make if you know, if you drove the 2,200 miles, or well, it's based off of 2,200 miles. So I think you're getting paid for the 2,200 miles regardless. Obviously, if you're laying in the bed for 3 days, you know, twiddling your thumbs, you know, they're probably going to say something. But I asked them, I said, what happens if I get up one day and like I'm just sick, like and I don't get sick, you know, I mean, once in a great while, and they said, you get paid, you know, they said if you're like, you know, sick 2 days a week, you know, 3 months in a row or something, you know, they're gonna like say something. So, you know, obviously, in other words, don't abuse it. If you're really sick, you're really sick. If you're not, try. I mean, you're crossing the country in a long-nosed Peterbilt. With cool stuff back there, like bulldozers and stuff. Not toilet paper, paper towels, Gatorade. I'm gonna have to edit that out. Sports drinks. Like I said, though, there's a lot. There is a lot. If you're not from Flatbed, there's a lot of stuff to learn. That's the truth. If you're from Flatbed and you're going into over-dimensional freight, there's a lot to learn. A lot. So, I have he's a trainer. Not a trainer, he's training. I believe I'm number 1. Like, they used to only want only flatbed experienced drivers. So, you know, I didn't have any flatbed experience. I should have done that with Swift. You know, I worked there 8 years. I should have split it. You know, at the 4th year, I should have went into the flatbed side and done that for a few years, you know, to get some experience. Not that I was ever planning on leaving Swift. I just got bored. Like, I didn't have a problem with Swift or, you know, any of that. I just got bored. Same, I don't want to say you know, it was just repetitive. I don't think there's a road that you can drive a semi on in the United States that I haven't been on in a Swift truck. So it was, ready? Here it comes. It was time for change. Or time for change. I'm rambling, but I got all this stuff in my head I want to let out. I want to let you know, tell you. Shout out to Randy Lewis. I think I've watched every one of his videos. Another flatbedder. I believe right now he's pulling for Jones Motor. Don't quote me on that. 155, which, by the way, is my owner-operator truck number. So my old truck number was 971155, and that's how everybody knew me. That's why my YouTube channel's name is A.K.A. 971155. And yes, I've thought about changing it, but I don't think I'm gonna do it. And another thing, I talked to Valley Transportation, the recruiters, my dispatcher, I believe that's what they call him. It's not my driver manager, but I guess it's the same thing. I talked to the supervisor over the dispatchers about recording. They don't have a problem with it as long as I'm not holding a camera. So I set my cameras up, and you know, if I'm going to do a multiple shot thing, I just turn them on, and then while I'm, you know, later when I get done for the day, I'll sit down and I'll edit, and I'll just go from shot to shot, you know, in the editing program, which I use Premiere Pro, and I'm still learning, so shoot me if I do something wrong. And I use Epidemic Sound. Now I try to put them together with a little bit of class, you know, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of thought. The time is, it takes a lot of time to do that. I don't know, there's a couple of YouTube drivers out there. I don't know if anybody remembers Allie Knight. I don't know what happened to her lately, but I don't know how she did all the stuff she did. 500 horsepower. This is not a Swift truck. So my plan is, and I apologize for rambling, my plan is I'm going to try to, as much as I can, document what I'm doing out here. I don't know if I want to call it a vlog because I don't know how often it's going to be, or I'd like to document my learning process. Again, this is the second time that I've driven my truck to pick up a load and bring it back to the drop yard back in Waterloo. So it's only 180 miles round trip. But when we get back to the yard, it's a drop yard, so guys are coming in fairly regular, and you know, I'm just hanging out, watching and talking and learning. It's funny, I've asked a couple of questions, like I talked to an owner-operator yesterday from another company that, you know, was picking up something from our yard, and you know, off to the side, I asked him, I said, you know, as an experienced flatbed driver, you know, 40 years, I asked him, I said, if you could tell the new guy one thing, what would that be? And ironically, I've talked to a few guys that have a lot of experience, and they all say the same thing. See how I made you wait right there? Common sense. So, that's good. I have a little bit of that. nuts when it's just spitting. I play with the windshield wiper thing. Now it's raining. If anybody's listening that designs these trucks, why don't we have a switch on the floor that we can put our foot near, and when we want to run the windshield wiper one time, we just hit that button? Or, go figure, a button on a steering wheel. Who remembers that high beam switch in them older cars? That's right. Miles to go. Oh, the trucks. APU. I hit 2 buttons and the air conditioner comes on. As an owner-operator, then lease operator, you want the air conditioner on, you got to run the truck. These guys, heater, air conditioner, generator, run it. They post up on Facebook, hey listen man, it's you know, it's hot out there, everybody stay cool. Run your APUs, like, run them. You know, just as a common courtesy, you know, if it's like 68, 70 outside and the truck's all cooled off and whatever, you know, I'll run it, get it, you know, cooled down inside, you know, y'all know, get it down to 60, 65, takes about a half an hour, I guess. Man, shut it off, go to sleep. You know, help save a little bit of money. But they're there, you know, if it's, you're sitting there waiting on getting loaded or, you know, whatever it is, run them. The trucks do have an idle shutdown. I believe it's 3 minutes. Step on the fuel pedal, you can keep it running if something's, you know, if you're getting ready to pull in or, you know, whatever the situation is that you need to keep it running. I personally, I get done, you know, driving down the freeway for however long, or I'm pulling something heavy. I like to pull into, you know, a parking space or get whatever, and I like to run the fan, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending. Let everything, you know, stabilize. Let everything stabilize, you know, turbo cool down, you know, just let everything calm down a little bit. Shut the fan off, shut the truck off. That easy. Don't abuse it, man. You know, these companies spend this money to make it easier for us, and then you got guys that, you know, they'll pull into the fuel island and have it on automatic, you know, and they're just burning fuel while they're in, you know, whatever they're doing. You know, it's give and take. You know, you want these companies to spend a little money on you, help by saving them a little bit of money. Rough out here. Nice truck. Man, them old Peterbilts, the 359. Going through a construction zone, that's why the rumble strips. Rumble strips. PeopleNet, I know, I'm bouncing around. I apologize. They use PeopleNet. I have not a clue. It's almost like the female body on prom night. Elusive. I know. Not G-rated. So I'm learning about that. It's interesting. Qualcomm, you know, tap, tap, tap. This thing, it seems like you have to go into a screen, do a thing, get back out, and then it opens up another screen and you go in and put your remarks in and stuff like that. Qualcomm, you just hit on duty and you can type in what you're doing. It just seems a lot simpler. I know, I'm gonna get used to this and it'll be like night and day and all easy and all that stuff, but right now I can only imagine when I'm trying to put in my load information and say that I'm loaded or I'm getting ready to leave, and then I gotta fill out or get all these permits for different states based on my height and width and all that. A lot of stuff. And then trip, you know, the actual trip planning where, you know, most of the time in a Swift truck, you know, use a little bit of common sense. There's that word, common sense. Use a little bit of common sense, you know, you're gonna get there. This permitted stuff, really pay attention. I got some cool ideas for this YouTube thing. I just gotta get my, you know, I gotta get my bearings with this company and the PeopleNet and the permits and the routing and all the stuff, the securement, so I don't kill nobody, and all that stuff. And I just want to pull a helicopter. In orientation, my dispatcher, whose name is Nick, was telling me that he dispatched his first helicopter. So yes, I signed the paperwork for, you know, my name is now on the list. If there's ever a helicopter in the area and we are going to pull it, I wouldn't mind doing it. On a helicopter. This guy pulled in yesterday with the bottom half of, I'm going to say a 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s-ish, that kind of an era tank. Just the bottom part, the tracks and the underbelly, and like the turret was gone and the top lid thing was gone. So like it was open. It was a tank. We pulled tanks. Not toilet paper. Or sports drink. Tanks. Mostly farm equipment and heavy, you know, heavy machinery, construction stuff. But tanks. Hey, we're going to pull some farm equipment and some construction equipment, and occasionally you're going to pull a helicopter or a tank. No. See, that doesn't even sound right. I want to pull tanks. It's a tank. If you don't have a TWIC card, they'll send you. They have a minivan. You drive around in a minivan. The bunkhouse. How could you forget the bunkhouse? They have a hotel that they bought. It was older, but they're remodeling it, and they're done with the, they're 90% done with the bottom, I guess. Like, it looks pretty close. There's 8 rooms, so if you're driving and you're going to be in the Grand Meadow area, which is possible, you know, you like, you know, you do go back and forth to the terminal there, you know, a fair amount. So you call ahead a couple days and you reserve the room. It's free. How do you spell free? F-R-E-E, free. Free. Bed, shower, it's got a table in a chair. It's got a refrigerator. There's a microwave. There's a flat screen TV. An air conditioner slash heater. It's a hotel room. That's where you stay during orientation. So you have your room. There's one bed. I want one of those windmills, like in the backyard. That big ones, 140-foot long blades or whatever they are. Somebody shout out and tell me how long they are. The big ones. Sometimes this truck rides like a truck, and sometimes like a Cadillac. And I know that's weird, huh? Like, sometimes it rides like right here. I don't know what the wheelbase is on this truck, but I know it's 280. Like it's big. It's big. That's what she said moment. Shout out Sneaker Up. Now how safe was that? Not very safe. Trucks are big, sort of. When you pull out in front of them at 65, 70 miles an hour and they hit you, it's not a band-aid situation. You're probably going to get hurt. If you're on your way to work you get hit by a semi because you pulled out in front of them, you're not going to work that day. You're going to the hospital and you're going to get multiple band-aids. So 5 seconds, that's how long it takes for us to go by. The moral of this story is, don't pull out in front of a semi. Besides, it scares me. Eyes are flared. I want to say something about that, but I can't. And it's a shame because you won't know what it is that I want to say something about. So now you're thinking, I was thinking the other day, every self-respecting American should have a bulldozer. There happens to be one right there for sale. I wonder how much it is. I imagine the neighbors would call up and say, listen, you know, you have a bulldozer parked in the driveway. You're bringing down the neighborhood. But I personally would be like, why don't you have a bulldozer? And then you would bring up the neighborhood. Forgot about that one. That was another one of those, oh, you're riding in a truck bumps. Dyersville, Iowa. Showbound.